What's up? What's up? What's up? Here we are. I think that's my official intro. Here we are, back again. This week or so has been kind of interesting. A ton of life perspectives that I kind of want to touch on. So we'll kind of get right into it. All right, and the first topic that I want to actually touch on is a statement. The statement of you can never love. I seen this statement before I say the statement. I'm going to preface this, but I seen this quote somewhere, and it said you can never love people as much as you can miss them, and it hit me. It really resonated with me. I've been on this kick of trying to stay as honest with myself as I can, right? And confronting different things about myself and just dealing with the truths. Ugly, good, bad. But trying to deal with the truths. And it's tough to explain because I feel like it's something to be experienced. But I feel like the more honest that I become with myself, the more that I look at things from a unbiased perspective, or a outside of the perspective of wanting to meet a need of mine or taking myself out. So being less selfish and just dealing with whatever the result is. So like I said, whatever it is that I'm facing or going through, or like calling it on what it is. Like if it's an emotion that I'm feeling, okay, I'm not happy right now. To the normal person would be like, well, you should be happy in this moment. Or I don't try to move in the space of what somebody thinks how I should react to a situation. I try to deal with how I'm actually reacting to the situation. And the more honest that I've been with myself, the more, I don't say the more truth that I found, the more peace that I found. Like I found answers, right? So something that I've been always kind of navigating in the back of my head is sometimes thinking about like the passing of others, understanding that life, we don't know when we don't know when we were going to come onto this earth, and we don't know when we're going to leave, right? So understanding that reality, and I always found that very interesting. And then I always found the fact that I was always afraid, if I was being honest with myself, I was always afraid of not loving someone enough, or not doing enough of the right things, or not taking advantage enough of the opportunity while somebody is actually here, right? That's always been something in the back of my head that I was like, how will that affect me if that person was to no longer be there, or whatever the case may be. And I was, for a while, I was scared to actually say that that's how I felt, because I didn't know if I'd find an answer to how to deal with that, right? But when I started acknowledging that that was really a fear of mine, it's like, then bang, I got the answer. It's like I got an answer, in the sense of you'll never love people as much as you can miss them. So to me, what that means is no matter what you do, if you did everything that you thought that you possibly could to love that person enough, or to show that you love them, or show that you appreciate them, or to show whatever the case may be, you'll always miss them more. Right? And to me, that brought me peace. That took stress off of me. Right? In a sense of, I still push myself to do all that I can, but understanding a lot of times I feel like, and I've seen this a lot growing up, people not doing things because they can't fully do what they want to do, right? So it's like you see a charity and you'd love to give, I wish I had $1,000 to give, but I only have 20. The fact that I only have 20 and I can't give the 1,000 that I want, I'm not going to give at all. Right? So you don't do at all, right? Oh, I wish I could love this person in the proper way, but I'm incapable of loving this person in the proper way, or doing the things that I would like to do for this person. I can't go out and do this and do this and do this for you, or do that, or I keep on messing up this part or this part. So then you don't bring to the table what you have at all. And I think that's a mistake. I think I'm learning that for myself, that's a mistake. It's about bringing what you have to the table and living with that result. Right. And it even goes to the story in the Bible with the lady with the 2 pennies, or the little that she had, she gave. Right. And that meant everything because it was relative to what she had, not to what she wanted to get. She may have wanted to give so much more, but she gave from the little that she had. Right. And then even to take this to another, I didn't even mean it to be taking this to this place, but even the thought of charity and giving to others and this and that, that's another thing in my life that I've always wanted to do. But I feel like, what's $10? What is my $10 really going to, what's my $20? What's my $100 really going to do? What is it really like? Is it even making impact? Like, is it really? And that's, that's the thing. Like, I feel like we do the things that show us accomplishment, right? It's easier to do the things where you can see progress, or you can show progress quickly, than to do the things that it takes time to build, right? And a lot of times that gets us into a bad position. Right? So if you were to, I only can give $10 a month to whatever it is. If you do that over the course of 30 years, I do the math on it, but I know that if you were to give nothing, it's greater than what you accumulated through those years is greater than not doing anything. And it kind of goes to I'm jumping everywhere now, but it kind of goes to the thing of, can one person change the world? I remember I had this conversation with somebody a year ago or something, and we were talking about, can one person change the world? I said yes. They said no. I said, no matter what they do, like if they were the ones to stop, then somebody else would just keep doing it. But it's not. I think we need to stop focusing on what everybody else is doing and focusing on what we're doing, right? We can't say, oh, because if I'm doing it, but they're not doing it, then why should I do it? Then you shouldn't have been doing it in the first place, right? If you're contingent on, oh, I'll do my part to help, or I'll do this if somebody else is willing to do that also, but I'm not going to be the only one, because if I'm just the only one giving my $1 or my $2 or my $5, and I can't see the change, so I'm not going to do it. You're doing it out of the wrong heart to begin with. And I just feel like I'm talking to myself right now. But to kind of bring it back to the point that I was trying to make in the beginning, you can never love people as much as you can miss them. And like I said, if somebody needed to hear that to me, like I said, it brought me a lot of peace. It brought me a lot of peace because not wanting to, I think oftentimes what we do is we try not to think about certain things, but not thinking about it doesn't cease to make it exist. Right. And I think especially the talk of our mortality. I don't speak on this in a negative way. I pray to God I make it to 100 years old. I want to have a long life. But at the end of the day, there are things that are in my control that I can do. And then there are things that are outside of my control. Right. So understanding that, I feel like it puts you, I don't know, for me, it puts me in such a appreciative state. Like it's easier to look at your blessings when you realize like you have but so much control. You know what I mean? So that's one concept that's actually kind of stuck with me. And then I'm to stay on this note only because it's just, I think it's important. Mac Miller, the passing of Mac Miller, right? A rapper. What that taught me is I'm gonna, and this is a challenging statement. Like, oftentimes when someone dies young, we always say, "Oh, what a shame." Right? We always say, what a shame, a life wasted, this and that. And in cases, that may be true, right? But that's from the perspective of what we wanted to see, right? What if age 26, it was journey complete, right? And not saying that we shouldn't strive to live full lives. Like I said, I think there's blessing in living a full life. But what if we find the blessing in the short lives, right? Instead of looking at, like I said, it's very unfortunate on what took place, especially with this, they're saying it's an overdose, whatever the case may be. But how many people, look at how God can take that and flip that. Like, how many people has he inspired to stop messing with drugs? It's very unfortunate that it had to take that. But how many lives has he saved through his death? Which is, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. Like, that's crazy. And it's just like, what I'm saying is that we have these storylines of how we would like it to be, or how we think it should be, or how it, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. We have these expectations of life. And cool. But what I've started to learn through these past couple of months, this year or so, is devastation and being upset and depression. A lot of that stems from your expectations. You expected it to be this way. It's not this way. You're mad. You're upset. You had an expectation of something you had but so much control over. And then to take it a step forward, you played a hand in where you are at that moment, right? You played a hand in where you wind up, be it drugs, right? So it's like, and again, I don't want to tread lightly on this. I really try to speak on this with grace and humility, But when you look at it, like, you didn't die. Mac Miller didn't die the other day. Like, that process started the day you chose to make that, the day you started, the day you chose to make that decision, and you chose to make it again, and you chose to make it again. You chose to use the outlet. You chose to use the outlet. So eventually you were on the path. So that was just the result of what you've been doing and how you chose to cope. And it was not a side effect, but like, you took steps progressively to get to that point, good or bad. So the same thing with health, our health issues and different things, and whatever the case may be. We're consciously taking steps to writing our stories. And a lot of times we don't realize that our lack of making a decision or making a decision plays into where we wind up in our circumstances. So it's just like understanding that you're playing a hand in where the story ends. And then sometimes, yes, it's out of your control or this and that, but that's that's life. God forbid something happens, bang, accident, random, drunk driver. So I get it, and I empathize, and I have sympathy for that. Like, that's the thing. But to understand that that's life. That happened to millions of people prior that didn't deserve it. It's not about whether you deserved it. That's the life that we live. Those are the circumstances we are exposed to. It's very unfortunate, but that's what it is. So letting go, I feel like letting go of the expectation. I'm not saying not to expect or whatever, but you have to have a healthy balance of expectation and understanding the reality of. Your expectations could be skewed. Like I said, I realized that depression, being upset, a lot of that comes from what you thought it would look like not matching up to what it actually is. But then when you stop and take a step back, you realize, but how much control did you even have? Like, what you taking something silly and random. A lot of people when they're younger is, I want to be married by 23. I want to be married by 24. Cool. Where did you get that number from, though? What does that actually really mean? Like, where does that mean in the grand scheme of things? Like, where you just plucked it from the sky? I want to have my career set by the time I'm 26. What's your career? You don't even know. I want to have a career set. I'll be married at 23. I want to be blah, blah, blah. And you have all these expectations. And then by the time you're 30, you're upset. You don't know why you're upset. And it's because you haven't lived up to these random goals that you made up in your head at 12. All right. So like I said, having a healthy balance of understanding reality, what it actually is, and what your expectations are, I think is very, very important. And again, I've tried to caress my way around these topics with sympathy, with empathy, with, like, I don't stand from I don't sit on in a chair looking down. Like, I'm not speaking from a position of trying to look down on people or this and that, but it's just, like I said, I feel like when we take away our perspective for a second and just look at things for what they are, and some of the things maybe I say is wrong. Maybe some of my thoughts will evolve as I get older. That's another thing I've been thinking about with these talks and whether I've documented them, is the fact that I'm going to say this because my opinion is subject to change. I'm not saying everything I know is facts. I'm not saying I'm putting these thoughts out there. I'm challenging my thought process. I'm trying to push myself to get to a place where I'm constantly growing, right? So a year from now, 3 years from now, you're going to pick up something I may have said in episode 3 or 5 or 6 or 8, and my view may have changed. Like that, we're allowed to do that. We're allowed to grow, right? I think fear of not saying something or not exploring an idea because your fear of being wrong or being viewed as a hypocrite or that. I tell y'all now, yes to everything. Check. Yes. Some of the things I say is hypocrite. Yes. I may have felt one way to. Yes. I'll tell you right now. Because that's how I grow. So like I said, I say these things to challenge thought, to challenge your perspective. Take from it what you take from it. But I'm not by any means saying I am end all be all of anything. I'm just an average person trying. I'm not average. I'm just a person trying to navigate life. And we're going to end on that. You did.